Lamentations of a Fool. I seek glory, I beg for worth, but I'm your failure of distorted birth. A weaker man whose road is least tread, now I prepare to poke my ceiling red. For I was made undone, my flaws branded and spun, my presence already shunned. For I was cursed in the womb, my life begotten my doom, the chance of a future standing in ruin. I run to the waters, praying you'll make me whole, but my faith is broken, and death is owed my soul. As I crawl up the hill where a saviour strolls, do not let me go, do not forget my call. For I keep my eyes on you, hoping you'll restore my sight, as I am a blind man calling to unfathomable light, a sickened fool whose heart brims with blight, unable to forgive, unable to feel when you hold me tight. My mind is full of rage and grievous disappointment, a fate unbefitting of those you call anointed. But I can't conceal the evidence when I'm flooded by failed attempts. As my mind becomes folly to an unknown penitence, I see my existence was never meant. For I hate who I am and I despise who I was. But today I bow to an altar, laying down my mortal flaws. Son of David, will he save me from the law? Will he deliver me from the destiny's cold claws? Will he take me to the waters and save my soul? There are no green pastures in the abyss I toil. But as I crawl upon the hill where my salvation holds, you won't let me go, for you have not forgotten my call. I keep my eyes on you as you restore my sight, for once I was blind, now I can see cosmic light. A fool who bargained and doubted his father's wills, as if all wants and desires you did not know. It mattered not my decision, never about my soul or my religion, because in the end I stood up at one final decision, life or death, penitence or brave. Shatter my chains you put laid in my brains, for I am tired of misery, tired of iniquity, tired of not knowing your greatest mysteries. I may always hate who I am and despise who I was, but you pulled me out of darkness when I walked Golgotha's path. Son of God, God made flesh, may you have mercy on your servant who cannot bear his own breath. May you lower me into the waters to restore my soul. May you break the wickedness over my decrepit will. Will you take me by the hand and lead me up the hill? Will you wipe away my tears as you allow my future to be full? Can I become the man I was meant to be? Can you listen to my words as I beg and plead? Can I live a life unburdened and free? Can you lower me into the waters and let me see? Right.
First, beautiful poem, Don.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Do you mind explaining? But maybe let me introduce you quickly.
All right.
So, this is Daniel. He is not only a student and not only a good friend, but he's my little brother. And he's my little brother who's literally taller than me now. You wrote this poem, I think, quite a while back.
Yes.
But you kind of read it to the family at one point.
Yes.
Christmas, actually. And that was the first time I heard it. And it's very good for me to hear it now again. And yeah, it hits very hard. I think it touches on a lot of topics, but it touches on... I can kind of hear there's things that I'm not understanding. I wouldn't mind getting into that. Yeah.
Yeah, feel free to ask if you have questions, if you remember anything specifically. I wrote a poem about in a course, I would say always a course of 6 months, but it's not, it didn't take me 6 months to write one poem. It's a multitude of other poems that I put together at the end, and using a lot of its inspirations, some of the sermons I did and stuff like that I also had to put together. Using a mixture of it, putting in a rhyme scheme, using more a lyrical rhyme scheme, all that kind of stuff, and yeah, getting it ready for Christmas, deciding this is something I will read in front of family, older family members as well, knowing it's a bit of a risk, but that is what writing is all about, taking that risk.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
You've been writing a while, man.
Yes.
You've not only been writing, but it feels like you took on writing almost the way you take on martial arts. You learn it properly.
Yes.
You know, you actually went and educated yourself with that. Yeah.
I think since I was 21. 21 till 20, yeah, I'm 26 now. I've been writing. I always say I'm a writer, not an author. I haven't published anything yet, unless you count small things like these. I've been working on the craft, using sources, external sources like anything from Brandon Sanderson or, but more controversial now, Neil Gaiman, with his recent controversies. Using various lessons to teach myself, only to learn after a while. It only works if you go for it. You just need to learn to do it. You just need to, like martial arts, the best teacher you have. It will always be kind of yourself in your own private time, refining, going through it, reading up, looking up on other people's arts, and seeing, okay, this is the pattern I'm going to have to use.
Sure.
But yeah.
Yeah. Systematically, but also putting in the time.
Yes.
To practice the craft.
Yes.
Being willing to not always do it perfectly and just going from there. So Daniel, you're a martial artist, you're a black belt. You've been training with me for a while. And firstly, you're an absolute joy to have in the class. The students are...
Understandable.
Almost feels differently about it when you throw him very hard.
Very strange.
Daniel is one of those enigmas in the martial arts. Every now and again when you do martial arts, you meet that one guy that you just cannot beat. He's too strong. He's just too strong. We have a couple of those in the jiu-jitsu, and Daniel is definitely one in the kickboxing. And it's kickboxing because they can punch and kick you, right?
Yeah.
You would think they would use speed, but when you close the distance, it's over. It's always over.
I do get punched a lot in the head.
You should keep your hands
I don't
up.
keep my hands up.
I feel like I say that a lot.
My instructor tells me that a lot.
I kicked Daniel yesterday on the ribs. You know what he said? Nice.
It was nice. It was very nice. I felt it. It's like, damn, you got me. Wow.
But it is demoralizing when you thought like I'm gonna floor my opponent with this one now, and you just like, good job.
I can't do a thumbs up to the class.
So Daniel, obviously I know you very well, and Omo knows you very well. We've been training a long time, and you are very open about the fact that you do have autism.
Yes.
And that's something that obviously our family has been aware of since you were very young. And you enrolled in the martial arts, am I correct to say, because both your brothers were in martial arts and that was a thing we did?
You wanted to do martial arts, I came with. I was
yeah.
9, 10. It was during the FIFA World Cup, so I would be about 10 or 11.
Yeah, 2010.
Yeah, 2010.
Yeah.
And I just kind of went with you. For me, it was, I never thought that we would do martial arts, and just suddenly you hear about the strange martial arts somewhere from school. You heard about it, and now I'm gonna go with my brothers. And I just get absolutely wrecked because I was an absolute couch potato, still is, but I'm now a fit couch potato. So I just get wrecked. And I loved it. I remember telling Ma afterwards that this is something I enjoy, this is something I have a fondness for. And as time went on, some of that fondness went away. Took a break for a while as well. I think while we were on the ship especially. And yeah, I'm still doing it. But yeah.
So it wasn't intentional in the beginning that we realized our little brother has autism, we need to enroll him in something, because there was other things that our parents did to try and help you with that. But what I'm seeing a lot, and this is something that now that I'm your coach for a few years now, I can clearly see where the martial arts... Nice catch.
Maybe.
Oh wow.
I think I missed it actually.
No, it's gone. It's gone. I've been seeing how the martial arts helps you in the places that are kind of blind spots because of the autism. Do you feel it helps?
Yes. Body awareness is a very big problem with any person with autism. I can't say any person, I do know it varies, especially with me. Any form of a body awareness or reflex or anything like that has always been something that has been troubling, and it's not that martial arts solved it, but it gave me ways to actually understand it. I still struggle with the stances. To my instructors, very grievous.
It's not that bad. It's actually quite good.
But it's a process, and I think it taught me a lot of body awareness. It definitely taught me a lot with taking authority, taking responsibility with things, and of course just understanding that you can do something like this. Like you can stand on the floor. In that moment where you fight a person, you don't feel. It's not about if you have a mental problem or not, like if you're autistic or not. Maybe let's not say mental problem, but let's say it doesn't matter at that moment, it doesn't matter if you're autistic or not. It's about you and this guy fighting each other, and whoever wins, wins. It is, it takes away something that's a very big part of your life.
Sure.
And despite what a lot of people say, which say stuff like, it shouldn't be your identity, I agree, it's not supposed to be. But you can't avoid it. It's something, if you have it, you're looking at it. When you wake up, you have it. When you go to sleep, you have it. When you're alone, you have it. It's not something that stops being something when you're no longer with people. But yeah.
And Daniel, it's very. It makes me sad knowing that you, and obviously knowing this since you were very young, that you have a tough one to deal with. And then I think your poem, actually, like it's very it's shocking to listen to, and
doesn't help. The depression doesn't help either. So genetical depression, stuff like that, that's not something that helps with either. It has a bit of a double whammy in that sense.
Do you think you might have been worse off if you never did martial arts?
Yeah, no, I think I would have been. Like I said, I definitely, I still am. Like I don't prefer exercise, but I've learned the value of exercise. I don't prefer pushing against my comfort zone, but I learned the value of pushing against my comfort zone. It's not always fun to show up for something, knowing you're going to struggle like hell today, and you're going to have to push through this thing. And because of that, I could learn how to actually take a lot of things that most people with my condition won't actually try. It with varying degrees of success at the end of the day.
I think it's important to be honest that it's not a miracle cure that just takes you out of your condition. You know? It doesn't. That's not going to save you from autism.
It's like the medication thing. There isn't the medication I found that takes it away. There's no final cure to it. And a lot of people will argue maybe it's not something that should be cured. I struggle with it. I really try to see that viewpoint of people, especially ironically people that don't have the condition, promoting the idea that it's not something that should be cured.
Sure.
I would love to see life like that.
Yeah.
I'd love to go through life with the idea this is something that, because it is something that makes you special at the end of the day. But I would love to one day tell a person I prefer this above being normal. But the harsh truth is that is not the truth, at least with me.
And you say people who says this tend to be people who don't have autism.
Not necessarily. There's a lot of people that say it that doesn't have it, and there is a lot of people with it that says it as well. Maybe it's a bit more equal. I think, maybe it's a bit rough to say only people that doesn't have it.
Okay.
But I've seen in my living with it and stuff, it does make things harder. It does put a very a requirement to train very hard for things that other people will catch very quickly.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
And sometimes, you sit at an event where you've been preparing for it, going through it, getting ready for this, and you just don't make it. And the reason is, at the end of the day, you just had the moment that the autism just went too far. Like the medication just didn't kick in right, and it's a reality. And I think that is sometimes, as much as I really would love a life that I can actually fully accept it and fully accept it's something part of it, that is a problem. that breaks me a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Sure, Daniel. In your poem, you talk about Christ.
Yeah.
Going almost like you're following in his footsteps up the hill. That's the suffering that comes with it.
In a sense, the context of it is more that at the end of the day, this is something I need to lay down before Christ. As a Christian, I do believe I don't see autism as a sin, don't ever get me wrong. I don't see it as a sin. I see it as something that, as all grief should be laid before Christ, this is something to be laid before him.
All grief should be laid in front of Christ.
Yeah. Sure. And when I walk, like I say, we're walking up Golgotha, the hill of Golgotha, I'm hoping I'm saying it right, I probably am not.
I don't know, but
when you walk up that hill and you lay it down, you're hearing a Saviour calls to you, and he asks you to lay it down, and it's hard. It's very tough.
Hard.
Like so many other things in life, I think it's not just admitting there's a problem, it's more the idea of admitting there's not something you can do alone anymore. And because everything in you wants this to work, wants this to be at a point where you can live with things, with the autism is a very good example, wanting to control it, wanting there to be a difference, and being at a point where you can only lay it down before Christ.
So obviously, Daniel, you are now in a bit of a transitional time in your life, but for a long time you've been working in a local church here in our neighborhood. it's amazing as your older brother to see you go onto your own path and building some real relationships with people in our neighborhood, and it's a very one-on-one thing. And you know, I'm often surprised how you know, us, many people are our elders, older than us. Like you, I think you carry so much love, and people that speak to you feel like you're genuinely listening. And then you pray with them, right? That's
the idea. That's 100% the idea of the road.
Tell us a little bit about your work and things you've seen, and yeah, just about that life.
So I've worked for I probably mentioned, but I worked for Every Nation as an intern. Year one, I worked on campuses exclusively. That was kind of the thing they put me in. And quickly realized that is definitely not something that I actually function with, especially with autism, but also just in the general sense as well. It's not something I have a passion for. But I did notice that I have a passion for street ministry, especially working with people on the street who is doomed to be there and can't, especially in drug addictions and stuff. Drug addictions is very rampant, especially heroin in the Centurion area. So the idea would be, so it started kind of in that sense, just like let Daniel do his thing. He seems to be actually doing this well. At one point, a co-worker of mine, she started this thing where she just printed out a banner, you know, stop here for prayer. And me being quite new to this thing, I looked at it and thought this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Because
Why?
It's like, now I need to wake up at 6 in the morning and go and work there from 7 till 9, and then work actually starts, kind of thing.
So you're trying to catch the going to work traffic?
Yeah, like that's the idea, trying to catch the going to work traffic. And I looked at it and it's just like, even though it was just first days, it's still like, yeah, I don't want to do this. So like, it also feels kind of like that thing. It's a very, like an almost embarrassment kind of thing. Like now I need to stand there with the banner and do the thing.
Sure.
So it was a very strange thing for me back then. But as time went on, I started to see, okay, what is the value in this? And what I've seen is a lot of type of people out there, a lot of different types of people, which definitely going to keep anonymity. I think you say, right?
Yeah, of course.
They're going to keep anonymity of a lot of the people that's out there, but there's this trend with humans that I really found fascinating. And I always say that's kind of the problem with me in a sense, is my autism finds a very obsession of a lot of things. One of it is with the writing, seeing human interaction, where especially about rawness, because when you stand there, when an older gentleman stops there's not much different between an old Afrikaans oom versus a young student from Open Window, because in that moment they're desperate. At that moment there is so little difference between them.
Sure.
One of my favorite stories is an Afrikaner oom stopping there with this very classical big truck, climbs out, walks to me, and it's like, oh yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Like it's only me and my colleague standing there. But by then it was only the two of us. And he just started bawling, like it just cracked on the inside.
Really?
And it's this massive pain going through his life, this massive, going into it, but the way he described it, I really like the way he said it, is that he never thought ever in his life he'd ever feel something like this.
Oh.
And it is, he just wants prayer. That's a one in a lot of examples, but for me it's such a great example because you see that a lot of younger people as well. And it's something that transcends race, gender, and ideology, and even religion in a big sense. Naturally, most people that stop there are Christians, and that's a natural thing. The banner says stop here for prayer, but there has been times that people of, especially atheistical people, but more the agnostic side, stop and just say they want to just see what happens. And again, the desperation is palatable. When you stop next to a road, so that some random white guy with long hair and tattoos can pray for you, that's desperation. That is solidly, I need something to change in my life. And I don't know, but what I started seeing, I remember what later became my black belt essay. I'm starting to write it there already, about the idea of that is what a warrior heart is. A warrior heart is somebody that, it's not just a fighting thing, but it's that emotional want to help people, not just by protection with the sword and stuff like that, but being a figure that people stops, talks to, asks questions with, and those kind of stuff. Somebody that's open enough to stand and listen, and that's the big job and stuff like that, to listen, to without going into an advice, but to give them truth. For me, being a Christian, truth is what the job that I've done for so long. You know, being the truth of Christ, being the truth of Golgotha's hill, being the truth of God made flesh. Because of that truth, I seen results. Yes, I think with the roadside prayer, something that I feel really stood out for me is how it started and how it kind of started developing into. Offering a place for people to pray leads to a lot of interesting people stopping there. I think one of my favorite events is the variation, especially when it comes to the groups of ages, groups of nationalities, groups of ideologies. It will mostly be Christians, but I always find it interesting how, for example, the entire thing with racism is a big thing in the country, and me being a white South African with long hair and tattoos, versus me partnering up with someone who is different nationality, different age group, different sexuality, different gender, all that kind of stuff. It causes a very interesting thing where people see a truth that I think is what it is. It's a truth. It's a truth that is very difficult especially to know and so be racist afterwards. For me, you see a lot of people, it's never thunder and lightning, it's never this effect where there is this moment of God just healing the person of his racism. It's stuff like the person shows up wanting healing in his life for, especially, unfortunately, a lot of the older generation, divorce is a big one. Wanting healing from divorce, wanting healing of that pain, especially a weird amount of them. Again, I've mentioned it, how they have a length you need to go to decide you're going to stop next to the road and ask for prayer from a random young white guy standing there with tattoos and long hair. It takes that step. A lot of that step is in pain. A lot of that step is wanting mercy, is wanting some relief, just anything that can help. Most Christians, but also agnostic atheists. So the uncle would stop there, and who would be randomly the person that prays for the person because, I'm busy with somebody else. It is a black lady. And it is something that hits him hard. You can see it's something that shifts a lot of times in their soul, where the person that approaches him and listens to him, because that's the big thing about doing stuff like this. It's an act of listening. It's an act of instead of you giving advice, you give truth. And as a Christian community, we give a Christian truth. They see another thing happening as well. They have a first-hand experience in why their lifestyle, why the things they've always seen, a lot of it born from trauma, can be challenged. And the uncle, a lot of those people that I would see again later on, it's not like the uncle is suddenly reunited with his wife. It's not like all of a sudden the uncle's kids love him again. It's not like all of a sudden the uncle is healed of cancer or something like that. It's stuff like the uncle comes back and he is more positive, he has more hope. Sure. He sees something has changed. He asks for her. He doesn't ask for me, he asks for her. Asks how is she doing, asks can she pray for me. And he brings this, going from, especially some of the instances where I know the person from another place, where I know the guy's quite racist, going from there to wanting prayer, to wanting to be released of this, voicing a lot of his traumas and all that kind of stuff, and finding peace in a different way. It reminds me a little bit of that verse in Psalms, and maybe just put at the bottom, the verse because I can't remember verses, numbers and stuff. It's the entire idea of finding peace, the idea of finding walking through a shadow of death to find peace. And that is what happens. They find peace. They find something it is not thunder and lightning, but it's a greater miracle in my opinion. Seeing a man who has been walking with this for years, with this hate in his heart, finally being able to reason with it, and in some way making peace with what life is. Life is suffering. Me with autism, as we spoke about, know that in a sense, I cannot be healed unless I can. God can, but it's not the way life has ever been approached. and seeing people find not just a different purpose, but such a greater purpose to just having healing, to just having riches, to just having all that stuff. All of that comes from 2 hours in a day standing next to the road and asking, and with a banner that says "Stop here for prayer." The most cheesy stuff I can imagine, and it just brings people from all nationalities, from all races, identities, all that stuff, to want hope. And I think that is something a lot of people strive for. Beyond right-leaning or left-leaning, people want hope. People want to know there is something to live for in this life. Life isn't fun. Life has never been fun. And the Christian faith especially really enforces that life is not supposed to be fun.
Well, you can't expect it to be.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it is supposed to be, I guess, originally. But as it stands now, it's not something to be expected, but it also pushes constantly the idea there's hope. There's so much more to life than riches. There's so much more to life than having healing. There is this truth that goes beyond so many other things we could look at, and that is beauty. That is beauty. That is the beauty of the faith, and that's the beauty of doing work like that. Even if the pay is peanuts, it still is. It still is an action that goes so far beyond.
Oh, there's so much suffering right around us. It's everywhere in the world, but it doesn't matter where you find yourself. And Centurion is a very unique place. It's between, these two bigger cities. I sometimes think Centurion doesn't have an identity crisis. When you live in Centurion, you do tell people, I'm from Pretoria. It's technically the same, I think the municipality or something. It's not Johannesburg. But I mean, people show up here from such diverse areas, like some people coming from the north, from more Pretoria side, some people coming more from the south, and and those people originally came from somewhere else, and right here everything's like a melting pot, and we're all trying to live, and people fall through the gaps, and we see them wherever we drive. You have interactions with them at your car window, and giving a little something to somebody is a good thing. I believe you should always be giving. But you pull your car over and you stand there with them and you talk to them and you make contact with them. And if they have a phone, you kind of keep contact with them. And that most people can't do.
There's the sentiments that I've received a lot of those people. A lot of the people who are stuck on the street, people who are stuck in drug addictions, people that are. And you can go endlessly on. If that was their fault to be there, honestly, I don't have an answer for that. Especially when it comes to nurture and nature. They were raised in a lot of them were raised in houses of drug addiction. A lot of them were raised in very broken homes. A lot of them look fondly back to a family. But when I hear about it, I just want to shake the gun and say it's abuse. You're thinking of abuse. You are wishing for abuse to come back. But that's not something they were fortunate enough to have the opportunity to know it's abuse. Sure. And it is very sad. A lot of them are intelligent. I mean, that's something I would say is a very bad misconception. They're not stupid. They are definitely not. They know manipulation. Sure. They know how to manipulate because it's a survival thing. You need to know how to survive in something like that. They also know when you are manipulating them, and they are very careful around it. And socially and stuff, they have a very good understanding of what people are. When you are in the position they are, and like I said, there's a lot of things you can't talk about. I think one of the things that is one of the sentiments that were shared to me is the idea that basically I asked the guy why he did something, and I'm not going to go too deep into it, but it's like theft, like a quite harsh theft. And I asked him why he did it, and his answer was, if you are on the street, you can't afford morality. Morality is not a luxury I can afford. And the idea of just, especially if you're addicted, like to heroin and stuff like that, it's I don't like to go into the direction of like all things are demonic and stuff like that, but that is the closest synopsis I can ever see, like in front of me, of what would be described as a demon. This sightless entity that just destroys your life, just goes into it. And that's just heroin. You're not even going into methamphetamine or anything like that. I always find it interesting. I mean, here in South Africa, and it really is across the world as well. It's not just here. There isn't a safety net. They say there is, but there isn't really. I think a lot about some of the older people that are on the street. Can't they go collect their unemployment check? they need they need an email, they need an ID, they need all that stuff. They can't do it without having already technology. And it is really sad to see how the community around them also turns on them. And sometimes, if you really want to go, that's the wonder about Christianity, is that is it justified that the community turns around them? Well, the same guy did rob, did steal the other guy's TV, and sell it for heroin. The same guy also killed someone. This younger guy talking to, or was part of the numbers gang, stuff like that, ran away from it. And so it's that thing of, is it justified? I don't think that is my place to say, especially knowing, the rules of what my faith is I live under. But if I look at that, talking to them as their people, I think that's the most important thing. Because to be real, anything is trade on the street. If you give them food, they might trade it in. If you give them money, they will use it. And it is not every single person on the street is addicted to something. Just know it gets to the 90%. Like, it is not something, especially here with heroin, is a big problem. And then alcohol, it's really that thing of, I would say alcohol's top, heroin underneath, at least in this area, and from there you get to just smack, amphetamine, meth, anything like that. I think that's something to keep in mind, that you will be backstabbed if you see it that way. If you see it that way, you will be backstabbed because it's survival. You will be manipulated. The best thing you can do is talk to them like they're people and just spend time with them. I believe as a Christian that the best thing I can do is to make sure when I die one day, I'll see them in heaven, because a lot of them will die before me. And beginning of this year, driving through, a lot of old faces are gone. People don't get off the street. That's not a thing.
You didn't just move to another neighborhood necessarily.
There's a chance. Yeah. I'm not saying that's
not
what happened.
I knew a guy personally on the street who passed away. I will never forget my last conversation with him. Yeah. He was already not doing well. Yeah. Like it almost as if he knew his time is limited. And then one day, Nicole and I are at the stop street, and we see his friends, and we asked him, where is he? And I think the answer was like, he's gone to our Father. Yeah. And it just broke me, because you know this man personally now. Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody wants to live that way, and I think that's something a lot of people don't understand the weight of addiction. Nobody wants to live that life. Do they choose to still live there by spending all their money on drugs? Yeah, you would too. That's the thing. Yeah. You would too. It is a horror show to be in any country, but my experience of Africa, it's a horror show to be here on the street. The things you hear about, the police isn't there for you. I can tell you that. They're definitely not there for you. The state does not care about you. Like the government doesn't care about you. You lose your humanity because you can no longer afford it.
You can't afford it.
And it is very dark. So giving that little bit, standing with the person, talking to him, hearing what's happening, hearing his story. It started with me, very selfish, being a writer, wanting to hear stories, then developing into something that's a bit more real. I remember this one day talking to this guy, and it was, let me not say locations, I don't want to give away where places are. So talking to the guy, and it's in a very dodgy place, it's kind of where you get most of your trade and stuff. And as he's talking, I look at this guy laying next to me, and at some point like, hey, listen, is this guy okay? Looks at him. He's been laying there for a while, he might be dead. Okay. And we just continue talking. So I don't think he was dead. The fact that he was gone later on kind of tells me maybe he wasn't, but the fact that that's a bit of a reality. Like,
that's just...
Yeah, and even for me, I didn't think much about it. Only when I got home, I thought it through, and it's like, I might have seen a corpse. I might have stood next to one. That could have been possible. Again, I'm pretty sure I didn't see the guy anymore, but I do think there's a chance he might have just been, relapsing or something. Yeah. And there's not a lot of help. That's something definitely as well. And getting help from the street from somebody else is a very difficult process, especially if you're addicted and your nature is against it. Yeah.
This makes me think a lot about something that our martial art association hints to, but something that our Christian faith demands, is that your morality has to be a step above. That sentiment of, if I give him money now, he's just going to spend it on drugs. He's a grown-ass man. Give him the money. Like it's not your business. Would you if a middle-class person you're giving him money or something, but you know that's not your business. It's almost as if there's a sentiment that the person begging for money owes me something. And I've heard the sentiment, he didn't even say thank you. And you know what gave me a bit of a breakthrough, and I only thought about this recently. I was young and there was a guy begging at the gate, and I was outside, so I had an interaction with him, and my mom was like, I went back in and said, Mom, there's an uncle here and he wants money, he's hungry. And Mom's like, I don't have change on me, make him a sandwich. So I made him a sandwich, and I gave it to the uncle. And I remember this uncle was not happy, and as I walked back to the house, he takes the sandwich and he throws it back over the yard. And I remember stopping, and I must have been not 10 yet. I remember just being shocked, and he swore and he walked off. And I took the sandwich in and I told my mom what the guy did, and she's like, I can't remember her exact words, it's too long ago, but the sentiment was very clear. So what if he did? It was still the right thing to give him something.
Yeah.
So what if he did? What does he? Yeah, I did my part. What does he owe me? Just because he's poor doesn't mean he owes me now gratitude. He doesn't need to do. That uncle is not doing okay.
Yeah.
He's having a complete emotional break, and maybe he needs a fix. Maybe it's more complicated than that. And I give him a freaking peanut butter and jelly. And he just snapped and he threw it back over, like a normal human being does. How many times do the average person, middle class person, lose their shit and do something like that? It's and this is what I'm trying to get at, is the higher level of morality. The martial arts demands that you become, a pillar of your society. But Christianity takes it to such a level where, when you look at your brother and you have hate in your heart, you already murdered him. It's that level of, if you look at a woman and you lust after her, you've already committed adultery. That kind of like, it's not just do the right thing because. It's a completely different level that's hard to put into words. And I think, Daniel, you're one of the few people who lives it. I don't understand how you get the emotional fortitude for that.
I am very much a hypocrite in that sense. Like, I would always admit that.
I think the fact that he says that.
I expected this answer, I won't lie.
No, I mean, I live comfortably. I don't do as much as I should do. Obviously not. I think most people don't. And I understand as well, that entire thing of where's my thank you. I don't blame as much the people as much as I blame the society we're in. And especially when you get to stuff like, one of the things you mentioned is that when you give his money, he's just going to use it on drugs. That is a moral question. That is a very big moral question you need to ask yourself. Are you okay with it? Because remember, I've seen a lot of people that I worked with where one day the guy is like, we're kind of buddies, we hang out kind of in the back and stuff like that. He doesn't ask me for money, I don't, we're kind of friends. And one day, he's just gone. His face is gone. All he wants is his cash to get a fix. Something happened. A lot of time it is younger guys that just freshly gets on heroin. A lot of time as well, it's brain damage. And you need to keep in mind that funding it, of course, will lead to more of it. But there is so much questions about it, including he will get it somewhere. Keep that in mind. Like, it's not like you're gonna be able to stop it. You not giving him the cash will not stop the inevitable from happening. Also keep in mind you might also get brain damage from not having it. And that is where you get this very, very complicated situation.
How do you approach a situation?
I just want them to actually to be saved, honestly. As a Christian, what I see is I want them to have that hope. I cannot take the drugs away from them. There's not a chance. I cannot do anything about that. I know a person, and this person has had deep connections with a lot of the drug dealers and stuff. And this person has a theory that the richest person in the world is not Elon Musk. It's a drug tycooner. Drug tycooners are not just a drug dealer. This is the supplier. This is a massive industry. It's not something you can win. What you can win is that person's soul. If you want to approach it, let's not take the Christianity away from it. It's enforcing his humanity. It's reminding him you are still a person. I see you as a person. I see you. I don't see you as somebody next to the street. You are a person, and I'm willing to risk, getting stabbed or something, which is a threat. That is something that can happen. I'm willing to risk that, but I can talk to you as a person and ask you questions. And sometimes it's a great idea to have an excuse. Hey, I'm writing a book. Like, your lifestyle is kind of part of it. We like to talk about it. Very naive. Like, of course, it's going to handle it. Like, it's going to tell you all the stories, like all this, and somewhere you hit a chord, and it becomes a bit deeper than that. Mm-hmm. And so, for me as a Christian, obviously, it's about knowing they might not live for the next year, or the next 2 years, or the next 3 years, and because of that, I want to know that I'll see them one day in heaven. Mm-hmm. That is something that gives me that purpose. If you want to approach it in a way that's not in a Christian sense, it is their humanity. It is the worth of their soul. It's the worth of life. Do you believe life has worth? Mm-hmm. If you believe life has worth, then their lives shouldn't be more worth than yours. If you don't believe life has worth, same thing. Their lives is still not worth more than you.
Be less than yours.
Yeah, like if Did I say it wrong now?
You said more.
No, let's try it again. If you believe life has worth, then their life should be as much worth as yours. If you believe that life doesn't have worth, then it's actually the same thing. Their lives are still as much worth as yours, and that is something to keep in mind. Society itself, the world around us, and I don't even blame as much the government, I see it in the rest of the world as well. We do live in the 20th century, in a 21st century. The 21st century, we live in a dystopia, and it's in its own way. You don't feel it's a dystopia because you are not the person that's underneath it. It's why fictional works like cyberpunk or something like that has a very accurate depiction of what a dystopia is, and how accurate it is to our world.
You feel like we're living it now?
In a big sense. It's
I think if you see the things you see, I get that.
We don't live in a world where we are, open fire gun violence and people just kind of ignore it, unless you live in the wrong area. Then it becomes a little bit more tricky. It's not as much open fire gun violence, but I mean, again, I stood next to a person who might be dead or might not be dead. And again, not to say where it was, but that is not far from where I live. That's walking distance. Sure. And I don't live in a poor neighborhood or anything like that. It's actually quite higher up. But it is the equivalent of it's underneath it is underneath the nearest bridge to you. The nearest bridge, that's where you'll find it. And I think we forget that. We forget that in a very big sense, a lot of people will live in a dystopia, and it is very sad. I think a lot about stuff like the codes of Tang Sero, that really goes into the warrior heart. And like all organizations, it's not just Tang Sero, but like all organizations, not everybody follows the codes actually. A lot of people just reads it and just sees it there. I am also one of them. Don't get me wrong, I don't follow all of them. But I think there is value in realizing somebody wrote those codes for a reason. And I can't remember all of them now. That's a shame. All right. Just pull it up. Jamie, pull it up. I mean, all more.
I'm looking for the 5 codes. All the tenets and stuff
like that.
The general, we have 5 codes and tenets and so on. But if you bring it all together, it really boils down to a few basic principles. Build yourself. Build the warrior within yourself. Be a pillar to society. You one of those students who you are a pillar of the society around us. Like, I just notice how many people know you by name. People who walk into my dojo and they're like, I'm actually good friends with your brother. Right? These are people I've never met. And maybe some of the faces I realize, but I've seen this person before. You have relationships with people around you. And you are a very dangerous person martial art wise. I think in a situation where it's the self-defense situation. I mean, Daniel, you destroy somebody, but you choose never to. You have this warmth that you bring to people, and that's part of your personality. And Daniel, again, it hurts my heart to think that a lot of it has been through the tough time that you've been given, the hand that you've been dealt. But I think it gives you some sort of an understanding that the average person don't have.
I think, especially with the autism and stuff, I think a lot of it is actually more of a depression in its own sense, of course. Like, it's a balance, and do keep in mind, if somebody with autism is watching and not agreeing at all with what I'm saying, it very much is nature, nurture, all that kind of stuff. And I might be in a very wrong mind state of it. But what I see in life is that going through life, especially school and stuff, learning from a very early age, life is never going to be fair. You're going to struggle a lot, and getting that small taste of the dystopia at a young age, that very small taste of the world, the society around you was never made for you. And maybe it's different in other countries. I have heard some countries do it better. I have not seen it. I've been to Switzerland as well. Definitely not there.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So I can tell you that I've not seen in this little amount of different countries I was in a big difference there. The world wasn't made for you. Like, it's always this feeling of you are very much an imposter in your own skin kind of idea. And so when you work with people, and especially when you get, like I say, it's a taste, and then you see actual how it looks like. It is, and a lot of them have mental issues. Like, a lot of them definitely, a lot of them is stuck on the street because of a mental issue from the beginning, and then moving over to the other stuff. But especially seeing there, they are despised by society. They are hated by them, and the worst thing is society might have a point. That's the thing. That's the worst part. Is that feeling of looking at it and realizing that. Maybe not wanting a guy with a massive criminal record on his back, including murder, in your society, it might not be the worst thing not to want. Yeah. But at the same time, like, understanding why people don't like them as much, but also realizing that they're people. Work with people on the street, I got two sentiments. The one sentiment is that I had this approach, and I still have the approach, where I realized that because of my mental issues, because of what I struggle with, I'm probably not I would probably not have had a job or even had a chance of finding a job if it wasn't for my parents, especially growing up in quite a loving home, like a home that quickly understood me and quickly channeled me a little bit more. And even then it was still extremely challenging. A lot of people you find on the street has mental issues. A lot of them doesn't seem that different mental issues from what I have. Yeah. And that is a very, a shocking...
But different circumstances.
Different circumstances.
Ended them up on the street.
So I used to tell people, but if it wasn't for my parents, I'd probably also be on the street. And then one of them completely said, no, I don't agree. He said, no, I'll tell you why I'm on the street, it's my dad. So then it's like, it's my mom, it's my... And it just goes on, it says, no, you don't understand. You would not be on the street because your parents, because you had a healthy family life, a healthy family dynamic, and that makes all the difference. And I think that is something that is sad, very, very sad to know that, again, our society is in such a way built that even people with traumatic past and stuff like that is going to have a harder time. It's as if in a world that we know is very corrupted, a world that we know is very dark, it gets very rough, gets very, I can write books about the corruption you see on the streets and stuff. We have this weird approach where we think life should be perfect for every single individual, that the way the person lives should be the medium class life. And the rest of them, wayside, it's fine. We just need this few. Having connection with a ex numbers gang member. I mean, he's done terrible things. And there's a long time where I had to consider: do I actually want to remind him of his humanity? Because he admits it solidly. He sees himself as Christian, and maybe even is. But he admits it. If his old group says we're going to forgive you now, you can come back. He'd come back, kind of thing. He'd continue. Wow. Not think about it because he had family, he had connections. Right now he's stuck on the street.
If group says they'll forgive him, he'll go back to
if they say, hey, come back, he'll do it. It was actually like a prayer point where he asks for that temptation to go away, in a sense, because he does not want that temptation. But at the same time, at that point, I don't know where he's now. He's been gone for a very long time. But at that point, at that point, he has lost so much of his humanity over the last 2 years that he's been gone. But he feels he wants to go back to his family, to the people that actually liked him. And by the way, guy's like 19. So when he became part of the numbers gang member, I would be like 15 or something. Oh, no. And I think that's something to very much keep in mind. It's probably the same with the Zamas. I mean, these are kids. They've also done terrible things. And they've done terrible things towards other people. Those people are also individuals. It's too complicated to have an official, what do you call it, stance, because it's people's lives. It's always people's lives.
What makes you unique is that you instinctively jump into the real deep topics. And I salute you for that. I 100% salute you for that. You are an incredible student. You are a vibe to be with.
Again,
hands up.
Understandable.
but I think more than just that, you are the character in martial art history that, you know, the mythical character who supports his community, that protects his community. And in the action movies, he literally fights off the bandits. But in real life, it's very often chatting with the bandit, being there for that guy. And that's next level stuff. And I really, again, I salute you for that.
I cannot agree, but thank you. It's not a sentiment I can agree with, but I do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
That's why you have the right mentality for the job. I think if you have a different kind of mentality, it might lead to something else. But you're the right person for the job, because it's a truly motivationless act. Yeah.
Definitely is. I mean, I mentioned the pay thing, and I don't get paid for this one. That kind of thing. It's
very selfless what you do.
It's I don't know. It's difficult to say. They didn't start as selfless. I mean, it's something I'm open about. I didn't like people in the beginning, again, like most autistic people. But also, I would very much classify myself in the beginning as misanthrope, I think it's called. It's the idea if you have like a natural hatred towards people. And now maybe misanthrope is a bit harsh to what I was, but I definitely was on that border. I definitely hated people for the things that happened in my past, especially with some of my friends when back at school. Feeling that people are very evil by its nature, and yeah, like I said, if there's a sentiment you agree with or not, growing older and seeing, but even with that evil, there is still hope. There is still something that can come through. My original motivation was definitely selfish, which is to write a book, kind of thing, and to have stories that's very real, and knowing that me with autism not having the same, I may get sentimental value of a lot of things, knowing I can hear a horrible real story and then just move on as if nothing happened.
Sure.
Kind of allowed me that idea of, okay, if I want to write something that's truly special, I need to use that ability. And at some point it became something else. And sometimes I still ask myself, is this still for a book, or am I just doing what I'm doing at this point? And yeah, sometimes I still think it's very selfish, and sometimes I think it is not. And sometimes I do weird things that I don't feel has anything to do with me. That's where I feel that's more of a Holy Spirit in its own sense.
Sure.
But yeah.
Daniel, I want to wish you best of luck with your next step in life.
Thank you.
I want to wish you the worst.
You guys. But Daniel, thank you so much for coming on.
Of course.
I think we will talk to you again about things. Go do the next step and so on. I'd love to get you on more. I think there's a lot of deep philosophy that ties into what we do, and also in a big way what this channel is about. We're finding ourselves as a channel through the conversations we're having. But I think one thing that made me start this is a love for South Africa as a whole, a love for this country and for people, and you truly live it. You truly live it.
I hope. I think that's really the answer. I can't say South African necessarily even. It's hope. It's the idea of that there can be hope is something that I love. People accepting you for who you are, but also being there for you when things get really tough. Yeah.
Sure.